friends, thanks for joining me for Discoveries in Mixed Media. Today we're going to be working with yarn, twine, rope, embroidery floss if you'd like. Pretty much anything that you can wrap around your project or add some texture to your project. Just in case you don't have something all ready to go, we're going to go ahead and create a master board. We'll cut it into tags and we'll make tags. But I wanted to let you know that you can do this on a full art piece. And I'd like to do that with you guys at some point, but I think if we just do a quick master board and then start to use this, it's a great introduction, and then we can get deeper into actual art pieces later on. Not to say that your tags are not art pieces, of course they are, but I'm talking about like an 8.5 by 11 piece of art that you might frame. So we'll visit that later, but today we're just going to introduce ourselves to working with fibers. This is mixed media paper that I have. It's thick like cardstock. And I would recommend, if you're going to follow along with these videos, and I hope you do, I would recommend that you grab yourself a pad of mixed media paper. I'm assuming that you know what a master board is, but if you don't, that's okay. And if you don't have mixed media paper on hand right now, that's okay too. Just use a piece of cardstock or the inside of a cereal box. Anything that's firm then can handle a little bit of liquid. Also, go ahead and grab your scraps. That is what I use to create a mixed media board. And if you'd like, you can stick in one color palette or you can just mix things in. So let me go grab one of my scrap folders and we'll get started. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and make 2 master boards because I want to do sort of one with blues and then I want to do one with pinks. So that's my plan. And then, of course I might mix some blue and pink on, like I'll do maybe this paper on both of them because it has both blue and pink. All right, so that's the plan and that's what I'm going to do. And what I'll do is create one in real time with you guys. And then the next one that I do, I'll do it in fast forward. And that way it won't take up too much time. But you'll still get to see how I put them together if that interests you. So what I've done is I've grabbed a bunch of scraps. And, oh yeah, and I'll probably do a little bit of neutrals on both. We will see about that. And I'm probably going to I grabbed more than I will need for this, but that's okay. That's the fun of it. And we are going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with the blues. And I haven't decided if I'm going to work this one into the blues or the pinks, so I'm going to keep it handy. And we're going to just get started. So what you do for a master boards are so fun, and they're a great way to use up your scraps. We're just going to take paper pieces and we tear and we glue. And you can see here that I am starting this one with the mixed media paper, but the other one I'm going to do on cardstock. Just in case you don't have mixed media paper, I just want to share with you that you can do it on cardstock or even a heavy-duty scrapbook paper. You know how some scrapbook paper is kind of fine and thin, but other scrapbook paper it's thicker. It's closer to a fine cardstock. Well, you can do a master board on that too if you wanted. Great way to use up your scraps, and it doesn't have to make any sense. You don't truly have to worry about placement. You can, of course, think about it, and I typically do think about it, but I certainly don't obsess about it because these will all get cut into tags. And then you end up layering other things on top. So that's why I say you don't have to obsess about where things are going and all of that. As you can see, I've got large scraps going on right here, and that's fine. but you can use tiny scraps. Just use whatever scraps you have. I had just used a bunch of my really, really small ones recently. Now I want to let you know that you can also, on your masterboard, you can use fabric, but then just know that you would have to use scissors to cut it, or you would have to use, I don't know what those big things are that like you use them standing and they have that big handle. I'm not sure what those are called, but you could use one of those. But like a regular paper cutter, you would not, I don't think you'd be able to use that. But it would be very easy if you did want to use fabric. It would be very easy to simply use your ruler to mark out the sizes there where you wanted to cut, and then you could mark it with pencil and then you could cut it. One of the fun things about master boards is that you can just tear and have a fun time with that. And that's what I'm doing here, as you can see. And I don't really like too many straight edges on my master boards. And of course, as I'm saying that, I realize that I have a perfectly straight edge here. This one is torn, which is good. And I'm actually gonna tear that just a little bit more. I like the house image, so I wanted to keep that. And I'm going to put this in this corner, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Everything that I've said can be taken with a grain of salt if you'd like, because, again, master boards, there's really no wrong way to do them. I would say the most important thing on a master board is that you glue your image down all the way, and like you don't have corners that lift up and stuff like that. Speaking of, let me check that. That one's good. There's a little tiny bit right there. Let me get it. That I'll get with a glue stick. Can you use a glue stick on a master board? Sure. Especially if you're dealing with tissue paper and thin papers, but thick ones you should probably use a better glue. And that way, once your master board is ready to be cut, things will be firmly glued down. Now I'm definitely wanting to put this one on, but I don't know where yet, so I'm going to save that. I kind of like the idea of using this image maybe over here somehow. So let's go ahead and tear it. There, that'll break up some of this straight line, so I like that. I have this vintage receipt here, and I did some jelly print on it, so let's go ahead and use that. If I can, I'd like to keep the date on there, not that it won't get covered up later, but just in case, I'd like to keep that on there. That's kind of fun. And we're going to go ahead and focus on covering this white part down here, and that's going to fit perfect. Now this is actually supposed to be my blue one. We have a lot of neutrals going on here. So let's go ahead and get a blue piece on. I'm going to tear it so that it just has some nice natural edges. And maybe what I'll do is keep this one straight so I can come up here and cover that white space. And then because this has a lot of white edges, you might remember from last week, we can go over that with some ink, or we can go over it with marker. Either one works fine. In this case, I had my ink pad handy, so I'm gonna just give the edges, those white edges, some color with my ink pad. Since I don't have blue ink, well, I actually have teal ink, but since I don't have blue ink, I could have gone, and I mean ink pad, I could have gone in there with a blue marker if I would have liked to. All right, we're going to get that glued down now. Oh, I covered that whole picture. And that wasn't intentional. I actually was going to leave that exposed, but that's okay. Now, another thing I want to mention to you guys, I think it's fun sometimes to go in with scraps and tie in these pieces so that they're tied in. So I like to save these, and we'll do that at the very end, okay? Really what we're looking for now is a piece that's going to go in here, and I would like to add some blue. Some interesting blue. Let's go ahead and add some of this gorgeous tissue paper. It's so, so beautiful. And I'd like to see how it's gonna look over that. Because I don't want it, you know, I might go ahead and put book page under there. I don't want it, it just is so bright coming through in that particular spot, and I don't want that to be the case. Let's see what we've got. I have actually this polka dot paper. It doesn't quite fit though. Book pages are such a great background for so many things. I just feel like you can't go wrong with a book page. So I'm going to tear this by hand so that it's got a nice uneven edge to it. And I'm just making sure that it's going to cover that space that I want it to. I like that. And we'll save some of this also. Let's get this glued down. Now before we add our tissue paper, I want to go ahead and add a few pieces of this blue on the edges. See how that pulls that together? I really like that. Now let's go in with some of our tissue paper. What we're going to do is take off all the edges so there's nothing that's straight. There we go. And now we'll just place a few pieces here and there. So I'm using tissue paper, and tissue paper is super thin, so glue stick works great with tissue paper. Also works great with napkin. That's another thing you can use on your master board is napkin. You can use just about anything on your master board, to be honest with you. So see here, there's a little edge. So just go back with your glue stick and get under there, and you can just press that down. Little one over here as well, and I know there's one over here. All right, let's see if we need any of that tissue paper anywhere else. I'm going to do a small one up here. All right, I feel like this master board is ready. I'm going to go ahead and trim any edges that are hanging over. Now I want this to dry before I cut it, so while it's drying, I'll go ahead and do the pink one, but I'll do that in fast motion so that if you want to, you can see it come together, and if you don't want to, that's okay. You can just fast forward to the next part of the video. My friends, this is my completed master board, and actually as I'm looking at it and I'm saying that, I almost would like to see something up in this corner. So let me see if I can find the scrap of this. I know I tore that off. Here it is, I found it, and actually this is going to be so perfect right up here. I'll make sure this comes to a nice sharp corner, this one too. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink it with some pink ink. And then I will get that glued down, and I just think it'll help it. I don't know, it'll add a little something to it. So think about that when you're making your master boards, to bring in different elements from different areas, because it's possible that you might be using, once you turn these into tags, you might be using them in the same journal. And if you do, I just feel like it creates a little cohesiveness throughout the journal. Now I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and then we're going to go ahead and cut the other one because it should be dry by now. I really love this, you guys, and I might sit down one day and then just do a bunch of mass makes of master boards, because they're so great for using up scraps or one-off papers that you're not sure what you're going to use in something else. So they're just great, and they're fun. They're free. They're fun. You don't have to think about it too much. You know, you just need some paper and some glue and something to paste it down on, and you're good to go. Now, tag sizes. We, of course, create all different sizes of journals. But for me, I seem to prefer about a 3.5 inch wide tag. A 4 inch for me feels a little bit big, so I like to stick to the 3 and the 3.5. So my paper is 12 inches long, wide, I should say. And so actually, if I went with 3, I could get 4 tags out of it, plus some from up here. If I go with 3.5, I think that'll give me less. Let's mark that out real quick. If we did 3.5, that would be here. And then another 3.5 would be 7, so that would put us here. Is that right? Yes. And then another 3.5 would be 10.5. So it would give us, I think I'm going to go 4. I think I'm going to go ahead and go 4, and then these will be reserved for larger journals. Yeah, I'll feel better about that. So if I go with 4, then I should get, what, 3 tags out of it. And I don't want to go smaller than that. I just don't. So we're going to go with 4, and we'll have large tags. And you know what? That'll actually be great as we're working with our ropes and threads and things. It'll give us a larger palette to work with, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. In true confession, what I should have done was sliced off the top, because I probably could have got 2 good tags out of that. But I didn't do that because I wasn't thinking. So what we're going to do is, I like to have about, the tallest I like to go with a tag is 5 inches. That's the absolute tallest. So let's see what happens. Where are we at with 5? With 5, it hits right here. That's actually pretty small. Let's go ahead and let's go for a 6 inch tall tag, especially because the width is so big. Let's go for 6, because usually my journals are 8 inches tall, and then we'll have this left over for a pocket. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to mark that. We'll go 6 on this. I guess we'll go 6 on all of them, and then the other ones we'll just use as pockets. That'll be fun. You can also cut your master board in such a way that you get a belly band or 2 out of it. Well, you can get a lot of belly bands if you were making a master board specifically for that reason. So if I had gone with the 3.5, and we'll do that on the next one, if I'd gone with the 3.5, that little sliver I was talking about, that could have been a belly band. So we'll definitely do that on the next one. But this one, we got big tags and we got some pockets, which is great. Now I'm going to grab my corner rounder, and I'm going to go ahead and round the corner of these tags. Now, before we embellish these with our yarns and things, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one to size. And I want to show you, this is the one that was on the cardstock, and you'll notice, I'm going to flip these over. You'll notice how perfectly straight these are. The moisture from the glue has not affected this paper at all whatsoever. But you'll notice here on the cardstock, and even though it's cardstock, can you see, I'm going to hold it so that the light shows it. You see the sort of the lumps and bumps. Now we can stack these under a book once they're truly dry and it'll straighten them out. But that is the benefit of going with a mixed media paper. Well, it's one of the benefits. All right, so this one we decided that we were going to, let me get rid of this here. Pull that off, okay. We decided that we were gonna go with a 3.5-inch tag, and then we'll have like a belly band at the end. And actually, speaking of, let's go ahead and cut the top, or we could have pockets again, or we could get more tags out of it. Well, let's see, how tall? My journals are usually 8 inches tall. Like I said, usually 5's as tall as I like to go, but I'm thinking 6 feels better. 6 just looks better to me. So I'm gonna mark this at the 6-inch point. I literally just had my pencil. That's okay. I will grab a pink marker because that'll blend. All right, so this is gonna be marked at 6. And let's get rid of that first. Now this could be a very nice side pocket. You know how we glue them into the side and then we tuck the tag underneath? So I'm gonna leave that for that. It'll be too long, but that's okay because, you know, I don't know how tall all of my journals are. You know, if I make a long skinny one, then this would be great. So I'm gonna leave this as is for now. And then we're just gonna go ahead and mark 3.5 inches across. Oh, actually, that's funny. So this is interesting. Let's go ahead and cut 2 of the 3.5s. It's crazy that this looks so much smaller. Look at that. Did I measure that incorrectly? Oh yeah, no, I cut it incorrectly. There was my mark. I don't know what I cut it at. All right, let's try that again. I'm gonna remark that, guys. Oh, there's my pencil that I had lost a minute ago. Okay, so it's so interesting to me that the 3.5 can look so much smaller than the 4, but it's literally only a 1/2-inch difference. But look at it. It's to me, it just makes such a huge difference. And then this we can use for, well, a whole lot of different things, actually. We could turn these into stamps or whatever. So we'll hang on to that. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and round the corners, just like I did the other one. And then that's done. I don't have to worry about doing that later. I think these tags are so pretty already. We haven't even embellished them yet. And here's our skinny tag. And sometimes you do need a skinny tag, so, you know, that's no problem. Okay, my friends, let's get started. So let's start with the blue tags. And let's begin with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and pull one of these numbers. I made these with modeling paste, and so they're real textural, like they pop up off the page, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this to size. I had not initially intended to cut so much of the white off of it, but I'm happy that I did. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab some marker, and I'm going to color in the white part, and I think I'll choose a color that is in here. Let's go with a brown or a gold. Let me see what this is supposed to be gold, but I think this is getting worn out. Let's give it a try and see what happens. I got some of that gold on the blue, but we're just going to embrace it. I'll pretend like I meant to do that. So we have a blue 5 that can go on here wherever we so choose. Now let's choose our fibers. Now I wanted to say, before we get started, in no way is this going to be every single way that you could use fibers. There are so many ways to use fibers in your stuff, in your projects. But we're starting off easy because a lot of you might be beginners and maybe you haven't tried this before. So we're just going to go with simple techniques that you can embrace. So here's what I'm thinking for this one. I'm thinking I might go ahead, well, let me explain. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. First of all, you can use hot glue to tack this down. You can use like a Mod Podge to, you get the Mod Podge on here, and then you can shape this however you want. In the past, I've taken them and wrapped them around my tag, like so, something like that. And then, because this is in the way here, I took another piece of cardstock and put it over top so that you could still write on the tag. So I just wanted to, and you can also sew these into place. So there's a lot of ways that you can use these, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that to you as I'm deciding how I would like to use this today. And I don't feel like covering the back of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and I think today I'll use hot glue. And we're just going to, I think, make a design with it, because that's what it's all about, is you're just creating something, you're being free about it, and you're getting the fiber on here. You could make a frame. Let me just show you a couple of different things so that you can decide in your own project. So one thing you can do is you can make a frame. Of course, this is a little bit loosey-goosey, but just to show you, you could start in the center with a circle, and you could just make a bigger, just wrap a circle around, and then maybe get a little bit looser and then do this like as the end, or cut it shorter, right? And then you put other embellishments on top. I actually like this, so I'm going to go ahead and commit to this right now. Keep in mind you can also use your 3-in-1 tacky, not tacky glue, but your 3-in-1 or your Fabri-Tac. Now, since I'm going to want to press these down into place, I do have a finger protector on, and I'm going to put a little spot of glue right here. It's going to be wide so it can capture all these fibers, and I'm just going to press down on it. Adhering it however you want to do it, completely up to you. So many ways to do that part of it, and there's no wrong way. So if you have a technique, and of course feel free to share in the comments if you have a technique that I didn't mention, yeah, go ahead and let us all know. We are all here to learn from one another. That makes it so fun. Okay, we got those down. So this is fun. I like this. It's very unique. It's very different. I happen to have, I picked up at the thrift store for like 79 cents, a huge bag of these cute little thingies. And I don't use them very often, but I think it's going to be perfect on here somewhere. So let's do that. Let's grab this mermaid. Let's see if she would work on here. She would, actually. That's pretty cute. Really different, really cute. And let's see. Or we could move this off, and this is our number 5. That could go on here. Or if we don't go with our mermaid, I grab this feather, and we could put the feather across this way, if I can lay it down properly. Put the feather across this way. There we go. And we could put our 5 on top of that right here, or we could put this on top of that right there. Are they supposed to, let me know in the comments, are they supposed to go with this side up or this side up? I don't know that. If we did this side up, then I could put a button right there in the little hole. Shall we go with that? Let's go ahead and try it. Let's give this a go. And I grabbed my buttons too, because I figured that would be fun to add a button to some of these. So I just used hot glue to glue this feather down. I like the color of the feather. It goes really nicely with the tag. And now, shall we play with this? and then put a button in the center. I do feel like I want to do that. So that's what we're gonna do. Again, you can use 3-in-1 for this part of it if you'd like to. And now I'm gonna go ahead, I might still use this. I'm not, ooh, I think we will. Ooh, let's glue that down. I like that. I like that. Let's make sure, yeah, no, I like it up here. So I'm gonna go ahead, since it is gonna go over some of that fiber, I'm gonna go ahead and use my glue. I could have used 3-in-1. There we go. Try to get that down before it dries. Oh, I do like that. I think that's so super cool. I wish you could see this in person. It's so full of color and texture, and it's great. I'm enjoying it. All right, now let's go ahead and grab a button. So I keep my buttons in one of these organizers, pretty much color-coded. I bought these at the thrift store. They already have sticky stuff on them, which is great fun. And I think there were a few more packages there. I should have grabbed them all, but I didn't. You know, I try to be careful about not getting too much of everything. So do we want to stick with our blue theme and go with a blue button? We're going to go ahead and grab a couple of blue buttons, and we'll try them on for size. But let's also grab a white button. We have these cool dark ones. These are, you know what, let's go for the brown. Let's grab one of these. We'll try this on for size and this, because they are different. Here we go, we're trying these on. So this one really blends in. It doesn't pop. It's not offensive or anything. It just doesn't pop. The white one pops, and I do like that, so that's a contender. This one, I don't know, that's not bad. That you can see it. Let's go for the brown ones now. The brown, of course, works with the feather, but to me it looks a little bit big. Oops, I just dropped my other brown one. This brown one is dark, and I would normally say it's a little too dark, but it really actually matches with parts of that feather. I don't hate it, but let's go ahead and put it over here. This is a little bit darker than that one. I do like it. It's very handsome. It's making this pretty bulky though, and I don't want this to be super, super bulky. I'll have to put a book on this when I'm done. Now this, let me see if I can get this down into the center of this thing. Yeah, it's not going to push down no matter what I do. It's not going to push down deep enough, so that one's not going to work. So we're between the light blue, which is super cute. I do like that. I definitely like that. Now let's try the white. And the white, which pops more. I think I might go with the white. It's just so obvious, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and etch it up a little bit so that my gem tack has something to grab onto. I think I will use gem tack for this, although since I had scratched it up, I could use the hot glue. Let me see if I can open this up and smush this down in there. I don't think so. Maybe the hot glue is the better answer since I have to smush this down. Let's go for the hot glue. I etched it up, so we should be good. And I'll put the hot glue right here. Now I'm gonna push this down with my finger protected. And I'm just going to hold that till I think it has set. And then this tag is done, and this is a fantastic mixed media tag. A lot of fun to make, and I'm looking forward to making the next one. I'm fairly certain the glue is set, but just to keep it from popping up, I'm going to add this clothespin if I can get it over it. There we go, good. Yeah, we'll just keep the pressure on there, and then tonight I'll set this under a book, and we'll come back and look at it in a little bit. All right, now let's do one of the pink ones. I say, I don't know which one I want to do, but let's go ahead and do this one. Let's say we want to use this beautiful mermaid that was just given to me by my friend Becky Thompson. Let's say we want her to be our focal point. Okay, I think her hair is just perfect with the tissue paper that is on this tag. And so I think it would be cute. Let's see, what do we want to pair her up with? So many good choices. I'm kind of more comfortable using the puffy one, but let's stretch me a bit, and let's use this one with the gold. I think so. Actually, this one is quite thin, it's quite fine, and it's got silver, and it matches this part of this right here. So let's use that. And the question will be, what is it that we want to do with it? You know, we already did something where we just sort of decorated the front of the tag, and we could do that again, or we could be more intentional about it, and we could like go around the corners, or we could just be super willy-nilly about it and have it like we know that this is going to be the background, and she can just go over it, and so we can come up like this, like a little bit of a zigzag. So we can get 4 zigzags out of it, and then if we put her here, I'm not saying I love it, I'm just trying some things on. I think I'd prefer a zigzag that goes like this. Yeah, that just feels way better for me. So if we did that, and then we put her here, I think that can be super cute. So let's start with that. And we'll go ahead and we'll tack, let me get my little finger protector. I don't know why this thing is so huge. I had a smaller one, I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, I don't think this one grew by itself, but look, it barely fits. You know, what I might do is have this just hang down a tiny bit. Now, I won't be adding this patch using hot glue because I did that once and it comes off, so we're not going to do that. I could iron it on. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Or, ooh, you know what I just thought of? Let me grab my heat gun. That actually worked, you guys. So if you have patches and you don't want to iron them into place, try your heat gun. Just be careful, you know, I mean, you know, they warm up, they get pretty hot. But I can't believe it, like, it's on there. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we learned something today that we didn't expect to learn today, which is always fun. Now let's work on finishing this off. Let me see if I have some shells. I wanted to say I was really happy that the heat tool worked. We probably also could have used parchment paper or wax paper, and maybe parchment paper, and put it over and used an actual iron. But since the heat tool was here, it worked out great. Now, I'd like to go ahead and add some further embellishments. So I feel that up here in this corner, I'm going to add this beautiful, I don't know if this is a shell or what, but it sure is pretty. It looks like a shell to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use my, I can't remember what we call this thing, but I'm going to use it. If you don't have one of these, that's all right. You don't have to use one. If you have some brads, that would work equally as well, and you can hang charms from brads also. And I will be adding a brad or two to this card. And now I'm going to try to rack my brain to remember what this memory keeper thing is called. It's not a hole punch. They don't call it a hole punch, even though technically that's what it does. Okay, we are going to choose a pinkish brad. Brad? No. Grommet. And we're going to use this, whatchamacallit, to pinch it on there. There we go. And now I'm going to grab one of my bulb pins. I'm going to add this beautiful shell to it, and then I'm going to put it through where I put the grommet. Now I don't want this to be plain over here, so I could do a grommet, or I could do a button, or I could do a decorative piece of paper. We could have some fun and add these, and they'll look like bubbles. So I think that's a great idea. And it covers up sort of where the the turn is with the fabric, or the trim, I should say. And so I just like to put something there. So let's go ahead, do that. And I will use a clothespin to hold this in place, because I'm going to be moving the card around a little bit to add more things to it. There we go. All right, that's going to hold that in place. So then I think below that we'll add this pretty brad. So I just need my pokey tool. I'll poke a little hole in here just so the brad will go through. Now this cardstock is pretty thin, so I might double up on the back just to make this stiff. And then it'll also cover, you know, these goodies back here. Not that that's necessary, I don't mind that, but I don't like the way the cardstock bends so easily, especially for a tag. All right, my friends, here is our cute mermaid tag. You can see we used our trim in a zigzag pattern. I added some rhinestones to it, 2 brads. Well, where's the other one? Yes, a brad here and a brad here. And I also added this, what I think is a shell. It certainly looks like one. Now, when this dries, I am going to back it so it's more firm. It's too loose for my taste. So if all you have is cardstock, I would recommend, thin cardstock I should say, I would recommend doubling up. I have actual thick cardstock that I would never need to double up on, but this is one of the colored ones and it happens to be more thin. So I would just caution, caution you for that. But otherwise, I absolutely love this tag. I think it's adorable. So I'm going to make the rest of the tags. I will put it in fast motion for you so that you can see the process moving along a little more quickly. And I decided, since I'm going to definitely back the pink, I will do a few where I wrap all the way around because it won't matter, because that's going to get covered anyway. So this will be the one that, maybe I'll wrap both of them since I have to cover them. So this is how I do it. You can wrap them however you want though. You can be messy. The next one will be a little messy. How does that sound? So you can see how that comes out. Okay, my friends, I want to show you what we made today. This, of course, is the last one that we just finished, and you can see I used the fiber around the top and used it for a hook. I hot glued it first and then I stapled it. And then I added 3 of these little flat backs here. And all of the tags that we made today were created using the master board that we made in the beginning of the video. So you can see here, remember this I think was the first one we made. Master board, we put the number 5 here, we used a feather. We just did sort of an abstract flow with the fibers and then added one of these, and I can't think of the name of them, and then added a button on top of that. The name of that's right on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't pull it up right now. Then we made the one. So this worked out so great. This book page had a house on it, and I happened to have had a blue front door, and I just think that's so perfect. And we went around with the gray fiber and we sewed through the buttons, and then we hot glued them down just for a little extra security. And then we took the leftovers and went all the way around the edge. So those are the 3 blue cards that we created today. Now I want to show you the pink cards. This one's super cute, and I'm going to back all of these to give them some extra strength. But this one, of course, masterboard, had 2 stickers at flower. We wrapped our fibers around this way, and then I needed a little something to take up the space right here, so I put this little piece of fiber. And if I find something that might be in the desert, like maybe a turtle or something, I could always put like a little turtle there. So we'll keep our eyes open for something like that. Then on this one, this is our mermaid, and she has a zigzag with the fibers. And then I went ahead and put flat back gems for bubbles, and then we used a few brads just to mix it up a little bit. And then of course our little shell here. And then this one's super cute, spontaneous and not planned. Just wrapped our fiber around this way, went across this way straight at the bottom, had a little leftover, so made like a little, tassel, if you will, and then used another one of these, which I still can't think of the name of these. Y'all know what they are. But anyway, I think that turned out really cute. I love them all. So friends, I really hope that you enjoyed doing this with me and working with some fibers. If working with fibers was new to you, please let me know if you liked it. I don't want to cover these. Please let me know if you enjoyed it, if it was different and new and a bit strange. Just let me know. I haven't decided what next week's class is going to be, so you'll just have to keep your eyes out for some information on that. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're enjoying it. If there's something in particular you'd like to see, please put that in the comments. I will do my best to do that for you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.